Let's talk about the stud, the future of the NBA. It's Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs young stars, Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and we got the NBA rigging the draft lottery for San Antonio again before GTA 6. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Yesterday, we did the San Antonio Spurs season review for their guys 25 and older, De'Aaron Fox, the Pencil Harrison Barnesy, Chris Paul, Keldon Johnson, and of course, Bismack Biyombo. Today, we are doing the younger guys, the guys who are under the age of 25, which includes Wemby, Vassell, Castle, somebody else that I'm missing, Sochan, Riley Minix, all the GOATs. Covering all those guys and talking about the things that we need to talk about with that bunch of players. Of course, we will start with the future best player in the NBA, a guy that has an argument to be top 5 already and definitely top 5 in fantasy, and that is Victor Wembanyama, who was a guy that was drafted at number 1 in a lot of leagues. And at the start of the season, when I was using my traditional method of category league rankings, he projected as number 1. And I was on record saying that I would take Victor Wembanyama at number 1 in some drafts, and I did. I also said if I had multiple number 1 picks, I would go 60% Wembanyama, 40% Jokic. And in the end, Jokic outperformed Wembanyama on a per-game basis. One thing that is interesting, when you use my Durant ranking system, which is something I modified in the last offseason, Wemby came out at about 4, I think, because of the way that it reduces the outlier impact of individual categories like blocks. And it did bump Wemby down in that spot. So and this is basically what I'm going to be using quite a bit now, is the Durant ranking system for category leagues. You're going to see that impact on Wembanyama. So Victor, per game, with Durant, head-to-head categories, was 5th. Before the trade deadline, he was 4th. After the trade deadline, 11th, which was like a week or so, because he didn't play a game after the All-Star break. He suffered that blood clot in his shoulder. It seems like he's going to be fine. We'll see that he's available to play for France at Eurobasket or Eurobasket qualifiers. I'm not really sure, but he should be playing at some point in August, and he should be ready to go. I'm not worried about a recurrence of the blood clot issue. It's not a great thing that he had, obviously. I'm not worried about that being a recurrent problem, but we've got to keep an eye on it. Otherwise, he was relatively healthy. He played 46 games. 33 minutes. He was going to run away with Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-Defense, probably first team All-NBA, and top 5 MVP. That's what was going to happen, and he's 21. He had a 29% usage this last season, Victor Wembanyama, averaging 24 and 11, with over 3 threes a game. The man is 7'4". Is he? He's like 7'5". He's absolutely gigantic. He hit 3 threes a game at 35%. He hit 84 from the line. He was 48 from the field, and I'm going to be honest with you, those numbers will improve. He will have 50% shooting seasons. He will have a 37% shooting season from 3. Maybe he doesn't take 3 threes a game as he's trying to develop that. And this is a team that's not battling for a championship in this last season, in year 2. And Wemby was doing stuff, and everyone, get in the post, or go pick and rolls. What are you doing? Bro, if you're 7'4", 7'5", and you're hitting your threes at 35% and hitting 3 of them a game, I'm actually all right with that. And you're cooking blokes defensively. I know people will complain about it, and I'm very, very clear on this. If you took Victor Wembanyama at 1, I did. I do not think it was incorrect. Because nobody could sit there and have the information that he will suffer a blood clot. Nobody had that information. Nobody knew that. Now, again, the per game numbers, 5th, that's not ideal. Points league's 3rd. But if you take someone at number 1 and they finish 3rd, it's not a disaster. Although the difference between 1 and 3 in a points league was pretty significant. So I guess that was the wrong decision there in a points league. In a category league, I actually don't think that there's anything wrong with that decision. And again, he's going to be in that mix. Now, I am fairly certain Wemby will not go at 1 in most drafts this upcoming year. He's still far and away the number 1 player in Dynasty Leagues. It's not even a question. I think he'll end up going at 2 and in 3 in some leagues. And if you get Wembanyama at 3 in drafts, you're going to be very happy. What is interesting, that DPM delta and drip delta, 42nd and 38th percentile, meaning that he didn't, there was some levels of not improvement from him. And that's a clunky way of saying that. It's something to watch. I thought he improved quite a bit. 90th percentile offensive load, only 58th percentile on ball. Meaning, again, he got the ball and it was going up. He also only contested shots in the 83rd percentile, which, again, probably can be higher. And I say that, he averaged 4 blocks a game. He averaged 4 assists. What can he improve on? Well, 24 points will become 27. 47.5 from the field will become 50. 3.8 blocks could easily be 4, or it could end up being at 3.1. And usually when players have outlier, small volume categories like steals or blocks, I will be very quick to suggest that could suffer a gigantic dip. With him, I don't think that's the case. With like a Dyson Daniels in steals, he could easily be a 2.4 steals guy next season. Still awesome, but not 3. I just don't see a way that Wemby doesn't block minimum 3 shots a game, probably more, every season. Because he doesn't block them at the rim. It's not about selling out and committing fouls. He just blocks shots. I don't see that changing. He is actually the outlier in terms of blocking those shots. Can he do more assist-wise? Yeah, I could see a 4.5 assist season from Wemby. And 27 points, 11 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 3 threes, 50, 85 with his percentages. That's number 1 player without any question. So, again, if you took him at number 1, I think it was okay. If you take him at number 1, I think it'll be okay. I don't think people will take him at number 1, and I don't really know where it all goes. But he was awesome. Some people might have had extreme hype for him. I would say he was close enough to living up to that hype. About 24, 11, and 4 with over a steal, 4 blocks, and hit 3 threes. I'm not sure what more you needed. Maybe you wanted 51% from the field. Maybe that's the only thing you could say. But overall, just ridiculous stuff that we're seeing. Just on the Darko Delta number, where he's the 42nd percentile, he had a DPM improvement of 0, right? Which means that he was relatively flat. But that's because his Darko number was sitting at 5, like a plus minus of 5. Darko plus minus of 5, which is insanely high. And he got to that number as a rookie. So while we can look at that and go, maybe he didn't improve, and that Darko improvement sitting at 0 means not really any change there. It's because he was already at the absolute elite of the elite, like the 5th ranked or 7th ranked player overall in Darko. So I guess there is room to improve a little bit on that, but that's largely why that number sits. And you go, did he actually regress? Not really. He just didn't improve as much as what we thought maybe he could, because he took such a ridiculous improvement last season. And that put him at that elite, absolutely elite level already as a 20-year-old. And it didn't really go up much from there, because we're getting to the area where it's the peak of what the Darko chart goes to. Like, for example, the number 1 guy is Jokic in Darko, and he's at 6.5. And when we get to him, he actually did decline in terms of his Darko delta. That went down. So just something to watch in terms of Wemby there. The second guy we're going to talk about is Devin Vassell. A player who, at times, we have liked. At times, we've gone, maybe it's time for Vassell to have a bit of a breakout. And now, I would say, I don't know if it's necessarily a crossroads for Vassell, but it's definitely an intriguing part of his career. He's not yet 25. He's about to turn 25. He averaged 16, 4, and 3 with 1.3 steals. He shot 37 from 3. He played 64 games, which for him is relatively healthy. He's had some knee injuries in the past. But only 96th in category leagues, 102nd in points leagues. He was 79th post-All-Star, but guess what happened post-All-Star? Wembanyama was out, and Fox was barely there. His offensive load at 71st percentile is a little warning sign. And the reason it's a warning sign is because his usage was down at 21%. And in previous seasons, he was the number 1 sort of guy. And he is not that now. He is not the number 2 guy, because De'Aaron Fox is there. And honestly, with the way that they pumped usage into Steph Castle last season, he wasn't even the number 3 guy. So what's his other thing that he does now? 0.5 blocks, 1.3 steals, 3 assists. All right. 2.5 threes. That's pretty good. I'm not saying that he was a bad player. But if they head into next season with Fox and Wemby as starters, that's locked in. Is Castle a starter? Probably. So then it's what? Vassell and Sochan? Is Harper in that mix? Is Vassell a bench guy? I'd be a little concerned. Like, now, do I think Devin Vassell is a better player than Steph Castle and Jeremy Sochan? Yeah, I do. But the fit of him is a little weird. He can't play up at the 4. He's too small for that. He's ideally a 2, but you're going to have 2, maybe 3 point guards that are going to have to share those 2 spots. He can play the 3 a little bit, but he's not perfect at that. He's not big enough for that on a great team. So I'm a little worried about where Vassell goes. Now, if they do make consolidation trades and Vassell is part of that and goes somewhere else and gets a chance to be a 26 usage guy again, then yeah, the top 70 is very much in play. But he is heading towards the peak of his career. We saw some dips in his advanced numbers this season, understandably, with usage dropping and becoming a different sort of a guy. And unfortunately, those numbers and that skill set now is starting to resemble one of those empty-ish shooting guard types. No rebounds, low-ish assists, steals okay, 3 volume good, scoring fine, but you need 27 usage, 26 usage to really make it make sense. I've liked Vassell for a long time, but it does feel a little bit like that window that he had to establish himself as a top 50 fantasy player for a period of time, the way that, say, like a Jordan Poole was able to get close to this season, is the sort of scenario that Vassell would have to put himself into or be put into to get to that number, to be an outsized usage guy. And he can do it. If he was put into a larger usage role, he would get those numbers. The problem being, when we're all assessing this, you've got to mix fantasy, numbers, math with real-life team building. If you're in a team that pushes Devin Vassell to be a 26 usage guy, the number 1 guy playing 33 minutes, you're probably winning 27 games. And I like Vassell a lot. That's not what he does. That's not who you want to build around like that. Could he be a great number 3? Yeah, I think he could. But I'm not sure the Spurs even see him as a 3. And there's not enough other things there. He's not enough secondary ball handling. He doesn't rebound. The steals are fine, but they're not great. The percentages are not elite. 44 from the field is not good. So, at the way things sit at the moment, he feels like a heavy fade for next season. Now, I don't really know how people are going to approach Devin Vassell next season. But I get the feeling that, I'm not sure that he's going to be even a top 100 guy. Which sounds crazy for a guy that's still 24. 25 soon. And 21 usage and shot good on his threes and has been a really strong player. But the convergence of all the parts in San Antonio at the moment make me worried a little bit about, I talked about Keldon Johnson yesterday, a little bit worried about, and he's a much better player than Keldon Johnson, about where the dip now goes to because of the way the team build occurs. So if you're in a dynasty format, if you want Vassell to hit that top 60 ceiling, he needs to be somewhere else, I think. Because I don't think that it's happening at this stage in San Antonio. Today's episode, it is brought to you by the Game Time app. Maybe next season in the playoffs, you're going to see the games involving Devin Vassell and the San Antonio Spurs. But right now, you can go get tickets for the conference finals, the NBA playoffs, with Game Time buzzer beaters. You can lose your mind at a live sporting event. It's one of the best feelings ever. Imagine that feeling. I know you've seen it, but the hassle of getting tickets can be a real pain. That is where Game Time comes in, being a total game changer. You can get zone deals. You can get the in-demand playoff matchups. The price drop closer, the closer you get to the game. Well, you can get that sometimes up to 60% off in great sections. The app makes it ridiculously simple. It's just 2 taps and you're done. And with a Game Time guarantee, you know that you're getting the best deal. If you find a better price in the same row and section, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. And with the NFL schedule release happening now, you know when your team is playing in your city. So you can go in there and buy those NFL tickets at Game Time. If you never used Game Time to grab NFL seats, now is the time. It is seriously a game day upgrade. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, let's get in now and talk about some more of these San Antonio Spurs younger players. Now, we're going to talk about the number 9 pick from a couple of years ago, Jeremy Sochan. They tried to make him a point guard at one period. It didn't work out. He went back to playing at the 4. Then he moved into playing some small ball 5. And honestly, when he was a small ball 5, I think things started to look really good. But then we had injuries. We've got shooting concerns. He's still only 22. He had an 18 usage. He played 25 minutes only. And some of that was the arrival of Harrison Barnes, but also the fit alongside Victor Wembanyama isn't great. He's a pretty good defender. He can do some things with the ball in his hands, but he's not a great shooter. He shot 31% from three, 70% from the line, 54% overall from the field. Like, there was some small improvements in his game, and I thought he did take steps forward. But how does he fit? Now, they're all going to be in this situation, like we've said all along. They've got a bunch of point guards. Castle, probably Harper, Fox, maybe Paul. Vassell's at 2. You're going to have Wemby at the 5. So who's the 4? Is it Barnes again? Or does Sochan start there? We could really see a 31-minute-a-night season from Sochan. Or they trade for someone else and he plays as a backup 4, backup 5, small ball guy. After the trade deadline, I thought he might be able to do more, but he was worse. 202nd. He ended up as 155th ranked player in categories and 25 points a game for points leagues, which is 138th. He averaged 11 and 6 with 2.5 assists, and 2.5 assists in 25 minutes. Not bad for a guy like Sochan. But as a guy that should be a good defender, where is the defense? 0.8 steals, 0.5 blocks. You need to shoot better from the field. Well, not from the field. That's actually pretty good because he again played center. But from the line, you need to hit more threes, only half a game. It was just underwhelming. There were times when we saw a couple of little bursts and go, oh, that's interesting from Sochan. And then he copped an injury I think it was a concussion/head injury that set him back again. We're heading into year 3 now for Jeremy Sochan. Is it 3 or 4? Geez, now I'm confused. How many years has Sochan been in the NBA? I feel like that was that year? Yeah, now I'm like losing my mind. How many years has he played? Let's double check this. That is 3 years now for Jeremy Sochan. And there were some big improvements last season, but I worry now we're heading to year 4 that, not that he's topped out because he's still only 22, we've got a lot of time before he reaches his peak, but what is it that he does? How does he fit with Wemby? Can he ever have top 70 fantasy seasons? I'll probably say no at this point because I'm not really sure where it is. Is it going to come from big defense? Is he ever going to be a usage guy? Will he ever be efficient as a scorer? And I'd say the answer to those questions is probably all going to be no. It's a tough one. We could see more minutes this season, absolutely, because of their reliance on guards, a transition away from Barnes, but they do need someone better, as good as Sochan has shown flashes of. They need someone better next to Wembanyama, or someone that makes more sense next to Victor Wembanyama. And I don't think that Jeremy Sochan's that guy. They've tried some things. There's been some failures. There's been some improvements. But overall, we are just like not shooting well. Defense is fine. Passing is good for a player of this position, but we need more. And I'm not really sure, given the usage guys already on this team, that that's ever going to bump. And he's at 18 this season, and I don't really know where that fits. So year 3, we did see a lot of improvements. I would have liked to have seen a lot more improvements from Sochan this last season. And now we're in a little bit of a, not quite dead zone, but I don't really see the vision of it at this point. Let's talk about the Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle. There's a lot we can talk about here, but I think one of the best illustrations of Castle comes from the team that he plays on. If your argument about Castle being a good player is that he's Rookie of the Year, his teammate is also the Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama. Both got the same title. They both won Rookie of the Year back-to-back. Not a single person who has any level of sense in their brain would tell you that those things mean the same thing. I mean, they do mean the same thing because they won the best Rookie of the Year award as voted by the media. But it doesn't put them in the same class of player. It doesn't put them in the same class of prospect. It is the perfect illustration to show you that winning Rookie of the Year is context dependent. It does not just elevate you to that same spot. It does not say, well, Rookie of the Year, you're elite. It doesn't do that because no one would look at these two players and say they're remotely close to each other. Now, if you don't know, and I'm sure you do, if you don't know and you're watching this, I was not super high on Steph Castle. In saying that, I had him 7th on my board. He went 4th. I was very skeptical about his shooting. I was very skeptical of his ability to play point guard. I was skeptical of his ability to be an absolutely elite defender. I think he's a good defender. I don't think he is an elite defender. I think he has a real problem being a very good fantasy player because there are a million holes in his game. When I had a clip that went semi-viral talking about, hey, the Spurs should hope that he can turn into a Derek White type. And people go, oh, absolutely not. He's a better defender. He's already better. I watched all of... I won't lie to you. I didn't watch every second of Steph Castle this season. Literally impossible for me to do that of every team. Couldn't do it. I pay attention to it, obviously. Nothing about this season suggests to me that Castle is a future star. Now, was he better than I thought he would be? Yeah, a little bit. But also, he didn't start on this team until like the last couple of weeks of the season, when Wemby was out and Castle was out, and Fox was out. They force-fed him so much usage down the stretch. And yeah, he scored well. His ability to get into the paint was very good. But he still shot 29% from three. He couldn't hit free throws. He was at 43% overall from the field. He has under a steal a game. He did average 4 assists a game, but that was without De'Aaron Fox there. And Dylan Harper probably. 15 points and 4 rebounds. That made him the 204th ranked player in category leagues this season in 27 minutes. He played 81 games, that's true. And there is a big difference between his category value and his points value, where he was 119th, averaging 27 points a game. Drip really liked him. They said that he improved a lot. And that is fair. I thought he was horrid to start the season, and he did improve to be a very solid player. Solid player. But deflection's really low. Doesn't contest shots. Passing volume was fine. Offensive load was all right. But I would suggest that the things that burn in your memory about Castle and this season and the run of 20-point scoring games, it has no relevance. Because Wembanyama was out. Fox was out. The team was tanking. And they're adding pick number 2. And when they were trying to win games, Castle was a bench player. He still is a low rebound, low assist, low threes, low field goals, low free throw percentage player who had 25 usage, and I don't know that gets higher. I actually think it goes down. So, if I was in a dynasty league and had Steph Castle, which I don't because I don't like his fantasy game, I would be selling. I don't know how that value gets high. Now, my rebuttal to people who want to be smart to me about it, oh, look at him, you're wrong. You're wrong, man. He was Rookie of the Year. I go, yeah. So is Michael Carter-Williams. Now, I don't think that they're the same level of player. I think Castle's better than Michael Carter-Williams. But Rookie of the Year doesn't mean anything. And as I said, I would if you had to make the decision, do you trade Steph Castle or pick 2? Castle immediately. I want Dylan Harper over him without any question. So while he was fine, I still think Castle's best role is going to be as a bench sort of guard. Maybe he can play up as a 3. He is not going to be a point guard. I think the Spurs have been very clear about that. Hence, they signed Chris Paul and traded for De'Aaron Fox. And now probably going to get another point guard. But, like with so many other players that we talk about, I came into the season with a much lower opinion of Castle than others did. And while he moved it slightly, he improved. I thought, okay, there were some better things than I thought. The problems are all still there. Can't shoot. Wasn't elite defensively. Not a good passer. Not a point guard. Didn't rebound. Didn't shoot free throws. Benefited from them pumping 29 usage into him for about 2 months at the end of the year. And the numbers went up. And that is not a realistic way of turning someone like, or him being a winner or doing that on a winning team. It does. If I'm going to be down on Devin Vassell doing that alongside Wemby and Fox, I'm way further down on where Steph Castle is. Like, to me, that is just not he will go inside the top 100 of fantasy drafts next season, I'm pretty sure. But it won't be because of me. The game there for category leagues is not there. And now, if we play a full season and they're serious, where does he fit? I think that, again, you absolutely do not make draft decisions if you are the Spurs, or even in like your dynasty league, thinking that you're set with Castle there. Am I a hater? I don't think so. I just think that I'm evaluating him as a player. And you can have a differing opinion on it, and we'll all find out about this in 4 years' time. But a Rookie of the Year award in one of the worst rookie classes you'll ever see does not change my assessment over all of that. And I think that's a pretty fair way of looking at it. Maybe he becomes a good shooter. Don't think so. We've got more guys to talk about. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by the Prize Pick app. Prize Picks app. NBA season is rolling. The NHL playoffs are there. Major League Baseball is cooking as well. And Prize Picks is the top platform for daily fantasy sports. It's easy on Prize Picks. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. It could be points, rebounds, or assists. You got a shot to win up to 2,000 times your entry. You could look at Rudy Gobert or Julius Randle's points numbers, say, for the Timberwolves in the conference finals. Maybe Jalen Brunson and his assist numbers. I don't know if they have free throw attempts. You could do that as well and pick more or less. You can also combine it with many players, but also other sports as well. Maybe you want to do a Trent Grisham home run scenario. Yeah, that's a real thing that's happening. Maybe Harvey Byers for your MVP, not a thing on PrizePicks. Maybe Harvey Byers home runs. Chuck that in there as well. Mix it all up. Tuesdays on PrizePicks is even better with Taco Tuesday, where player projections are discounted up to 25% for even more value. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, let's go through the rest of these Spurs guys. After Castle, it does get a little bit thin on the ground in terms of prospects. Let's talk about Julian Champagnie, who was a guy that started over Castle for big chunks of this season. Both he and his brother were able to step up this season into some sizable roles. Julian Champagnie in San Antonio was a little bit sort of jerked a bit all over the place. He hit 2.2 threes a game at 37%. 90 from the line is great. He played all 82 games in 24 minutes at 17 usage. But outside of that shooting, and he is a pretty good defender, he's not as good of a rebounder as his brother is. Overall, I was expecting actually a little bit more from Champagnie, especially earlier on this season, although a lot of the stuff he did earlier in the year was when players were out. 18th percentile on ball, so he basically just plays as a spot-up guy. And the shooting is good. He can do that. He is a very serviceable, decent-sized wing player who can shoot. And if you've got a guy like that, like a Sam Merrill, Sam Hauser, like Julian Champagnie can fill that role. Is there more to go from him? I don't think so. I sort of think that if he was like placed into a spot like his brother, Justin in Washington, and then end up playing 20, 30 minutes a night, 29, 30 minutes a night as a starter somewhere, yeah, we'd be all over him as a top 80 player. The steal numbers are pretty good. They're not great. They're okay. No assists, though. Not a great rebounder. Good threes, good free throws, good scoring. But at times, I think that he was significantly overhyped, even though he was starting a lot of games. That probably won't be the case. Although, I guess you could make the argument that having that level of shooting and that level of non-need for usage actually would make sense as a 3 there. But like, what do you do with Vassell? What do you do with Sochan? Is Sochan the 4? How does it work? Good player, serviceable player, not a guy that's developing anything into anything great or anything like that. And a player that, as the season went on, which is weird because they lost players down the stretch, he did less and was worse. 244th ranked player post-trade deadline. Charles Bassey's a guy that has had unbelievable permanent numbers at times in his career, but now I think that the knee injuries have caught up to him. When Wembanyama went down, it was an opportunity for Bassey to step into a larger role, and it didn't happen. 10 minutes a game only. He averaged 4 and 4 with 0.8 blocks in those 10 minutes. Cool, that's great, but if you're not out on the court, what are we going to do? He's an unrestricted free agent now. I'm as much as I do like some of the skill set stuff, and he's shown flashes, I am worried about the knee, and I don't think it's going to happen for him. Darko's delta was well down. He was nowhere near as good this season as he was last season. He is still a pretty good shot blocker, but 72nd percentile at rim contest numbers is not great. And I worry that is injury related, that he just couldn't get up and be in those positions as much as he needed to, or as much as he was in the past. He, in the past, has had some decent usage as well. 17% usage is fine. But I do think that the injuries might have ruined him at this point. And then we get to a bunch of guys that, I don't know what we do with these guys. Blake Wesley, who was absolutely horrific as a rookie, one of the worst finishing guards you have ever seen. I thought he's taken some steps forward over the next couple of seasons, but overall, the guy averaged 9 fantasy points. He played 12 minutes a game in his 58 games, 4 points and 2 assists, and shot 29 from 3. Like, it's horrific. Bad free throws. Yet he still wasn't the worst of these young guards. And he's in a spot there where he's like a combo guard who they were turning into a point guard, and now there's 4 other point guards in front of him. Hyperbolic, but close. He did improve a lot this season in the advanced stats, and I do agree with that. I think he took some steps forward. His passing volume not quite as high as you probably want it to be. The load stuff, he's a low usage guy, but it's efficiency. It's defense. He's a bit small. The finishing stuff is still not ideal. To me, we're getting to the stage where like he maybe hangs around a little bit, but the Spurs aren't in this, hey, let's see what we can develop here. And the next guy we're going to talk about is going to be the real like descriptor of that. But Wesley had some opportunities on some teams that weren't that good and never really grasped them. And while he did improve this season, maybe you could hang around as a third point guard, as the 15th man on a roster. I'm not really sure that there's a lot there on another team. Malachi Branham had moments in previous seasons where they would put him out there and he'd take a lot of shots. The Malachi was a guy that had a very limited game, and I didn't really... I had some intrigue with him coming out of the draft, but they are so sour on him. And it's that thing, like with Wesley, with Keldon Johnson. These guys that got these minutes when the team was terrible, the team is better. So they just got, we don't want you guys there. We gave you chances, it didn't work, and now we're improving. 9 minutes a game for Branham. He was a guy that was one of those, he's a bucket sort of a player. He shot 41% from 3, which honestly is unbelievable for the sort of player he is. 5 points, but 1 rebound, under an assist, 0.2 steals, 6th percentile deflections. He regressed significantly. He was out of the rotation nearly all season. And now, like, he's 22 as well. He had 23 usage. Where does he go from here? Sure, we could find him on another team, and it's a bad team. Let's say the Wizards or a Hornets. If he was a Hornets guy, would he have done more than Nick Smith? Yeah, almost certainly. But he's not there. So you just got to watch that. Him and Wesley, like if they go to a bad team, there'll be opportunities to do more. He's very similar to like a Bryce Sensabaugh, actually. A guy with a high usage value who can shoot a little bit and has improved that, but I'm not really sure what else he does. But it needs to be in a situation on a team where there's just giving him usage for the sake of it. And the Spurs have tried that. And they decided, no, we're not doing that anymore. You're not a priority anymore. So we'll see where it goes. I would have limited hopes for him. The next two guys I'll talk about because they're on the roster, but they didn't play. Harrison Ingram, second round pick from Stanford, two-way guy for the Spurs. 7 minutes a game in 5 games. Didn't even get to 40 minutes total. The 463rd ranked player with a 6% usage. How is that possible? Bro averaged 0.8 points. Didn't even average a point per game. He somehow got 0.6 steals per game. There's just nothing to take out of his numbers. What we can look at are some of his G League numbers to see if anything stands out there. He's a 6'6" forward. He averaged 33 minutes in the G League, but 12 points a game with 29% shooting from 3. No. 58% from the line. Bro, what are you doing? 1.4 steals? Yeah. Two-way guy, don't think he'll be back. And that brings us to the last guy. A guy who had really interesting numbers in college. A small school player who I thought, oh, this guy should be drafted in the second round. Let's see where we go. He was undrafted. But he went to the Spurs on a two-way deal. Suffered a shoulder injury early in the season. He played 1 game. Riley Minix. He didn't score. He had 2 rebounds. He averaged 2 fantasy points in his 1 game. 7 minutes, 6 usage. What do I take out of that? Well, there's nothing really, is there? Because he didn't play and he had that shoulder injury, which we thought was going to cost him the entirety of the season. But he was able to come back at the end of the year in the G League. But again, like he and David Duke and Harrison Ingram, like we didn't see them at NBA level. They didn't get used at all by the Spurs. And Minix only ended up playing 3 games in the G League anyway, where he averaged 12 points, shot 43% from 3, so keep an eye on that, 5 rebounds and 1.3 blocks. That was the appeal of him, a rebounding, shot blocking, 3-point shooting, big man-ish guy. He's only like 6'8" or so. But I'd say there's more interest to me in Minix than there is in Harrison Ingram and in David Duke, but it's a long way away. It's a long way away. The end of this show is not a long way away because we're right there now. So that is the San Antonio Spurs. The next team up, I thought it was going to be them today, but it's not. The next team is going to be the Phoenix Suns. So we'll do them next week along with Dynasty stuff, along with maybe a redraft and some draft scouting videos as well. So stay tuned. Stick around. Hit the thumb up. Subscribe. You will never miss an episode if you do that. And I would appreciate it. Drop your comments down below. Drop your Steph Castle hating on me comments down below. Drop your Wembanyama at number 1 pick hating comments as well. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.